What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Woojer Vest Edge, and this is a haptic vest for games and music, although you could also use it for anything that has audio, including movies as well, which I've been spending weeks with this thing. I've tested it across all of those things, and we're going to get right into it, right? But the first thing you guys are probably wondering is, what does it feel like? Whoa! This is, oh my god! Okay. This is so much better than I thought. It's like my entire chest is like boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, this is amazing. Okay. It's crazy. Bro. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's real good. It's like a rumble sensation around your body. So imagine a speaker is holding you and you got this like location specific feeling that's happening around you. But it's not like a shock feeling. It's not like electricity or anything. It's just a rumble similar to like the rumble you get in a controller, which probably leads you to thinking about why. Like, why do you need this product? You know, what does it do for you? And basically it enhances everything that has audio in it, right? So whether you're listening to music, you're going to experience new bass lines, you're going to hear parts of songs you didn't hear before because of what you're feeling. When you watch movies, you're going to have different impacts, right? Like if you're watching a Marvel movie, you're going to feel the impacts of certain hits. You're going to see things on screen that you don't even really pay attention to because you're feeling physical sensations to it. Same thing with games, right? And it depends on the game, obviously. I'm going to talk about all that in just a second, but specifically with games, you will be able to hear and know more precisely where things are. But again, dependent on the game. So let's get started. Let's talk about the games. Let's talk about Valorant first. Actually, before we get into Valorant, let me show you this vest and let me tell you a little bit about it. So obviously, it's a feedback vest. It's got 6 haptic feedback sensors. One is right over here. Another one is over here. So these are both for your chest. You've got these 2 back here. These are for your back, obviously. And these are for your hips, one on either side. So you're going to feel stuff in front of you, behind you, left, right, etc. And that's going to be how you get this locational awareness of the audio that you're feeling. Also on this control module here, this is where you're going to be able to increase the amount of rumble you feel, decrease it, lower and increase the volume. You can plug it in via USB, so it's your sound card. You can plug in your headphones here, audio pass-through, plus you can charge it there as well. So that's basically it. It's relatively light. It's got a battery pack inside it. You can connect with Bluetooth to your cell phone, etc. But with that being said, now we can jump into Valorant. Valorant is the game that stood out to me the most with the vest. In this game, locational audio data is super important, right? You need to hear the footsteps, where they're coming from, where the gunfire is at, where the abilities are going off, and you need to have a good understanding of where all of that is happening so you can respond appropriately. And with this vest on, I felt like it gave me an extra layer of recognizing where things were. So usually if you're playing this game without the vest, you hear something go off, you're like, oh, I hear footsteps coming around the corner, right? But then with the vest on, you're like, there's a guy to my left right now. He's going to show up any second.
Feel him in my chest right now.
And you just know it. It's like a second layer of confirmation about it, right? On top of that, when I first went to the game, into the practice area, I was shooting the pistol, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm setting my sensitivity and everything. Then I switched to the Guardian from the pistol, and as soon as I shot, it was just like, boom. And every boom, 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 I was like, oh my gosh. Just the sensation of using a heavier gun, you could feel with the vest. And that was super fun, too.
This feels
and one other
so
really
good.
important thing to note about Valorant here is that there's minimal music in the game. So because the vest is just processing any and all audio that comes out of it, basically if you have a lot of music in the game, the feedback that you're going to get is going to be from the music as well as the game data, right? Like the footsteps and the gunshots. So if there's no music, then obviously it's going to help you in a competitive sense much more than when there is music. Next up, because I was so impressed with Valorant, I fired up another first-person shooter, Call of Duty Warzone. And here, the vest also definitely enhances your spatial awareness. The guns are way more fun to shoot. Opening your parachute or that intro where your plane's on fire, all that stuff sounds kind of crazy and even overbearing. But overall, the game has a bunch of different audio settings for you to try out, right? So there's like reference and home theater. Reference I felt was too little, home theater too much. So I'm sure there's a setting somewhere that'll help you the best, but you know, still same as Valorant, there were times when I would just stand until I could hear someone's footsteps and I was like, He's right over there to my left in the tent. You know, just exactly that second layer of confirmation, super impressive.
I heard someone here.
Told ya. I was also super curious about how VR games were going to feel, because obviously you have this headset on, so you're already immersed into some other world. Then with this feedback vest, I thought you would really get a benefit of being even more immersed into everything you're doing, right? So I fired up Beat Saber, and sure enough, everything was just music, right? The actual slashing the blocks didn't really feel like anything. We tried Robo Recall. That game was very intense. I thought that the spatial awareness was going to help out, but I think the music again was overpowering, so it was very confusing. Had a hard time really figuring out where the robots were around me. And it's a very chaotic game as well, so it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. Tried out Superhot VR. That game, same kind of thing, where I didn't really feel much benefit from the vest, especially compared to Valorant or Call of Duty Warzone. That one was definitely a little bit odd. But let's talk about Forza Horizon, right? Because I thought, okay, let's try a racing game here, and I'll be able to feel the rumble of the car engine. It should be awesome. And basically does not work. It's like I turned down all the music this time because I was already aware of the music causing issues. And when I played Forza, it was like you were driving around, but the car's engines were too high pitched to really trigger anything. The vest really does better with mids and lows, right? So I tried switching to like a muscle car. The muscle car really didn't do much either. It was only when it was decelerating rather than accelerating, which makes it way less interesting, right? But if you're like driving through fences and you're like tick, through the fences, those little fence hits give you kind of a feedback in the vest, so that was kind of fun. But overall, it was kind of a miss with Forza for me. So since the engine rumble didn't really work with Forza Horizon, I decided to try it out with Flight Simulator in VR. And let me tell you, this was ridiculous. Because you're in VR with the headset inside an airplane, and the engine is rumbling, and since you can turn your head and look around out of the plane from the cockpit, and you feel the engine vibration, it's so crazy. And the weirdest thing to me was that the engines felt different whether I was in the Cessna plane or whether I was even in like the crazy plane like the Halo jet in there, right? Super wild stuff that just having that engine rumble helped the immersion level of VR. That's exactly what I thought you would get out of a vest like this in VR, and it worked perfectly. And it's so subtle because it's just like this constant rumble, right? But it's like a low rumble. It's not something that's like really shaking your body or anything. But you know, I played for a few hours in Flight Simulator, and even across all that, the battery lasted just fine. So the battery is rated to last up to like 8 hours, and I've never had any issues with the battery running out of me while I was using it. So that was super impressive, just in terms of battery life, right? And just the experience you got by having the vest compared to not having the vest. Very, very cool. Next up, I gotta tell you guys about F1 2022 in VR. Now, this is my first time playing this game. You know, I ran the course a couple times just to learn the track, etc. And I did not do it in VR, right? I was just running the track. And the thing I realized with the vest is that when you drive over the curve markers, right, around the curves, you can feel the side of your tire that's hitting the curb, essentially, right? So if the left tires are hitting the curb, you're going to go tick, 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 and you're going to feel that on the left side of your body. Now, imagine, you know, you go to the next side after you miss the next turn, you're a little bit wide to the left, you're wide to the right. You feel it on the right side, tick, 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 tick. You feel it on the right side of your body. And that like subtle difference, being able to feel those vibrations on the correct side of your body, really makes you feel like you're in the car. Then I found out they've got a VR mode, right? And let me tell you, this was the most intense VR experience I've ever done. This plus the vest is crazy. This game, when you're driving in it, the sense of speed you get of driving in an F1 car, it's just like ridiculous. You feel the speed of the vehicle, right? So now you're in this sitting in this low seat. You feel the speed of the vehicle. You feel like the curb tick, 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 when you're driving over each side of it. When the wind comes at you enough, like when you reach a certain speed on a straightaway, you hear the wind. When you hear the wind, you can feel the rumble from the wind with the vest as well, which is crazy. Wind, rain, and thunder on this vest, for whatever reason, the audio effects that we're used to hearing for those things, they're kind of generic, and everything that I heard across movies or anything, when they had wind, rain, or thunder, it was amazing. So F1 2022, highly recommended. If you guys have a VR headset and you guys are super into immersive VR, you have to try F1 2022 in VR and with the vest. It's like a whole new respect level for me for F1 drivers. It's awesome. Absolutely amazing. Alright, let's switch gears and talk about music. I don't have a lot of footage to show you, so I'm just going to play some game footage in the background. But with music, you're basically going to have enhanced audio feedback, right? So you're going to hear bass lines and parts of songs that you never really heard before, or maybe you've heard them, but you never really thought of them in this way as much as you're thinking about it when you have this vest on.
Oh my god. This is crazy. This is like actually being in like a nightclub or something. This one, it's making me hear like the low ends of the songs that I've never even heard. Like I've heard this song a million times, but I've never in my life felt the bass of this song. So this track here has like a boom boom, boom boom, boom boom. I was like, what? I've never heard that. I'm gonna list off some of my old man music so you guys can make fun of me, but some of the ones that stood out to me: System of a Down, Toxicity. You can feel this across multiple locations on your body. It's really, really interesting. Probably one of the standouts for me with the vest on. Eminem, Lose Yourself, the acoustic guitar intro, and it's gonna hit you more in the front. Then like the main bass line is gonna kick in all around you. That's super neat. Forgot About Dre, the bass line there. It like moves up your body, which is pretty cool. Carpenter Brute, Roller Mobster, definitely one of the best experiences I had. 21 Pilots, Heathens, you can feel like this hugging sensation because the way the beat hit, it kind of hits the front and the back together. So you get this like sensation that you're kind of being compressed a little bit, right? Very, very neat stuff. But I gotta say, one of the things that kind of stood out was Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And when I say stood out, I actually mean it in like a negative sense, because usually in songs nowadays, you know, EDM songs, there's a build up and it's a big bass drop, right? Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, it has this build up about the 1 minute mark where it builds up into a cymbal crash, just like whatever's happening, then tsh, and it's a super high pitch sound as the peak. And when that happens, nothing happens on the vest, right? I talked about it earlier, but the vest really capitalizes on mids and lows. So high sounds don't really trigger as much of an effect, if any, at least not from my testing. So that was a big letdown. I was like, oh, I was really expecting to feel something there from the vest, but I got nothing out of it, right? So that was one of the big things. But overall, you know, you're gonna have an enhanced audio experience with any kind of music when you're listening with this vest. Even mellow music, like Seal Kiss from a Rose I listened to, even that was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't really hear that part of the song before. So very, very interesting to hear music with this thing on. Now, when it comes to movies, any kind of movie where people say you have to see this in theaters, any kind of movie like that, some kind of big action blockbuster like a Marvel movie, it's absolutely ridiculous. It feels like you're in a 4D experience theater with this thing. I watched Marvel Infinity War. I thought I was just going to watch like a scene or two to test it out. I ended up watching the majority of the movie again because it was so cool. Thanos versus Hulk in the initial scene, right? They're like punching each other. You can feel like the boom, boom. Very, very, very cool. And then in scenes like Wakanda fight at the end, right? In Wakanda, there's a giant fight, like hundreds of people fighting each other. What I noticed that was interesting was there would be like random explosions off in the background, which you see them usually, but with the vest on, you can kind of feel those individual explosions happening. You're like, oh, and because you feel it, your eyes go to it and you look at it and you notice these things that, you know, kind of were just in the background before because you're getting the physical feedback from it. So I also tried out Pacific Rim, Godzilla vs. Kong. All those kind of movies are awesome with the vest on, right? Also, Pacific Rim's main theme, the song of that, you guys got to feel that with the vest. That's really cool, too. Jurassic Park 1, I thought that the T-Rex scene was going to be very interesting. The one where Jeff Goldblum comes out running with the flare and the T-Rex chased him for a little bit. That scene, it's neat because you can feel the T-Rex footsteps go from like one side to the other, etc. But overall, the sound quality is so much older, right? That movie's from like the 1990s. It doesn't match up to the sound you get from modern day movies. So that was actually a little bit of a letdown from what I was expecting out of it. But still very cool with the vest on. In conclusion, I really didn't know what to expect from the vest, but I gotta say I'm really happy with it. So when it comes to music, I think it's like a 9 out of 10 experience. All the songs you already know and you've listened to forever, you're going to hear new parts of that just based off what you're feeling, which is super neat. Movies, 10 out of 10, right? Obviously, if you're watching like a rom-com or something, it's not gonna be as impressive. But any kind of summer blockbuster, must-see in theaters kind of movie, this thing's ridiculous. It's easy 10 out of 10 for me in that. When it comes to games, it's a little bit more of a mixed bag, right? Because depending on the games, like say Super Hexagon, which is music-based, or even Tekken, where there's a lot of music in the game and the hits kind of get buried behind the music, it doesn't really do anything, right? But on the flip side, you play something like Valorant, or you play something like F1 2022 in VR, or Flight Simulator just with the engine rumble, like in those instances, the vest stands out like crazy, like ridiculous, right? So it's really weird because I wish there was some kind of way that you could remove the music from the audio processing from the vest. But the only way that's going to happen
is if you have like DirectX 13 or 14 or something, where like they have Rumble controllers nowadays. It'll support Rumble Vest. So it'll say, you know, the music, ignore that part for the Rumble Vest. Only the footsteps and the gunshots, you know, or the hits from Tekken will go to the vest. If that's possible in the future, then this is going to become like a 9 to 10 out of 10 sort of product. Now, let's talk about some of the cons of this thing, right? Number one, it's cumbersome, right? Like, obviously, it's a vest you're going to wear, so it's an extra layer you're wearing on your body. But then there's all these straps you got to adjust, right? These ones make it tighter on the front. Then you got this clip that goes around the waist, right? This guy clips in, you got to tighten that. So you got to wear it pretty tight, because if you don't wear it tight, then you're not going to feel the rumble as much, right? So it's tight on you. You're wearing something extra. If it's hot in summer or whatever, like, you're going to feel warmer just because you have the extra layer on. The plus side is it doesn't really get hot. It's not like the electronic components getting warm on you. That was never a problem for me, even though it is summer out here right now, right? But just the process of putting it on, plugging it in, tightening the straps, that got cumbersome. It got a little better after a couple days because all the straps are kind of in the right place and just snap it in. But still, it also makes you sit up straighter, which is good if you're trying to improve your posture. But if you just want to like chill and play games or something, then it's kind of like, oh, I got to put the whole thing on, right? So that's number one con. Number two is the cost, right? Usually the thing retails for $350. Currently, it's $250. Now, that's a pretty decent price, because I got to say the audio quality that comes out of this thing when you use it as a USB sound card is really good. Like, I have like $100 digital analog converters, and these things are... This is easily on that level or better. So I would say it's probably worth $100 just for the sound card part of it. And then you're paying like an extra 100 something just for the haptic feedback and all the sensors and the battery pack and everything. So that price isn't actually that crazy. Is it worth that much though? It's probably pretty close, especially if you have like a huge TV screen and you like to watch action movies. I feel like that's like one of the coolest features about it, right? That plus you play games and you're competitive about your games, like maybe playing Counter-Strike Go or Valorant or Call of Duty or something, or you really want the immersive VR experience, then yeah, it's worth the price tag, I think. But overall, you know, I think when you look at the music, the movies, the games, I think it's like total like an 8.5 out of 10. Really cool product. I'm really thankful that I got to try it out like this. We'll probably be trying it out a lot more whenever there's kind of a new big budget Marvel movie that comes out, or, you know, some kind of VR experience that I want to check out. But that's it for me, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, it helped you a little bit, make sure you guys like the video, click subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'm Rip. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one. Boom.